Stranger Things has always encouraged fan speculation, but there's a special breed of theory that jumps past that and lands in stupid territory. We're about to break down some of the dumbest, so be sure to subscribe, and let's get into it. The biggest one is the theory that Henry Creel, the kid who became one and eventually the monster known as Vecna, is actually Eleven's biological father. The argument relies on drama and shock instead of any kind of facts. It interprets his fixation on Eleven as some kind of paternal pull, then combines lab imagery, blood symbolism, and vague talk about fate. It keeps coming back to the minds of some fans because it offers a cool reveal, a shortcut to turning every battle into a family tragedy. The issue is obvious, though. The show already provided a complete, logical backstory for both Henry and Eleven that doesn't hold any secret paternity bomb from Star Wars. Brenner's experiments were about replicating abilities, not manipulating and abusing bloodlines. Eleven's journey is about a kid molded by lab torture and then remade by the family she chose, not some soap opera father reveal waiting in the shadows. Throwing in a surprise father twist wouldn't add depth to the show. Actually, it'd do just the opposite, and would undermine the specific, deliberate work Season 4 did with explaining Henry's philosophy, his killings, and how he warped the Upside Down to serve his vision. Converting that into a parent subplot would cheapen everything that built up to the final season. Close behind is the popular theory that Eddie Munson, one of the most beloved characters, will come back as Cass the Vampire. This concept has its roots in the series' inspiration. A fan-favorite character dies heroically, bats are involved, and the show loves pulling from Dungeons & Dragons every chance it gets. The connections seem obvious, and some think Eddie will take on the role of Cass, somebody who, in D&D lore, killed Vecna with a magical sword. But Stranger Things uses Dungeons & Dragons as set-piece dressing and symbolism, not a literal roadmap on how to tell their story. The show claimed these names by adapting them to fit Hawkins. The Demogorgon was just a label for a creature that didn't follow Monster Manual rules, and Vecna got reimagined around Henry's actual backstory and beliefs. Eddie's death had weight because it was permanent and deliberate, the final beat in a story that turned a misunderstood outcast into a genuine hero who was loved by many. Bringing him back as some fanged evil lieutenant who kills Vecna at the last moment would erase what that sacrifice meant and introduce a completely new rulebook to a universe that already has its rules solidly in place. Season 5 can respect his memory through flashbacks, grief, or maybe a quick vision, but a full supernatural comeback would clash horribly with the show's internal logic. A persistently dumb theory claims that Will Byers is actually the Mind Flayer, or that he'll snap and become the ultimate villain because of his lingering link. This had a brief moment where it sounded intriguing, mainly because Season 2 made that connection genuinely terrifying, but the dynamic was always victim and invasive parasite, not creator and creation. The show explained where the Mind Flayer's physical form originated and who shaped its purpose. Will matters because he's sensitive to that force, which is exactly why he works as both a warning system and a vulnerability. Turning him into the secret architect of terror and doom would destroy the emotional core of his entire character arc so far, and contradict the power structure the series already established. Season 5 can put Will through hell without making him the villain the show has spent years defining as something completely different. Then there's the dream scenario. Everything was just a game, a fantasy, or a sleepover in someone's basement with dice scattered on the carpet after a late-night D&D session. It gets pitched like a smart circular ending, a final nod suggesting the monsters were imaginary all along. This is the quickest way to destroy everything the story built, like the trope has done with so many shows and movies before. Stranger Things never used its nostalgia factor as an ejection seat to escape complexity. It used kids' games, bedroom decorations, and tabletop campaigns as frameworks for understanding danger and emotion, not as a last-minute reveal that invalidates 5 seasons worth of intricate storytelling. The characters have been traumatized, destroyed, and rebuilt by actual events in their reality. Pulling an it-was-all-pretend switcheroo would feel like a joke, not a conclusion, and it would obliterate the moral weight the show worked hard to build up over the past 4 seasons. It's the kind of twist that sounds clever for 5 seconds and then ruins every single rewatch, as fans will constantly be reminded of how the most emotional moments or character deaths were actually completely meaningless. Time travel theories belong in the same category of stupidity as the dream scenario, especially the versions where some device, portal, or surprise power lets characters rewind everything, resurrect the dead, and reset Hawkins like nothing ever happened. The series already made a deliberate, unsettling choice about time by locking the Upside Down's version of Hawkins at the exact moment the first gate opened. That decision is symbolic, not mechanical. It's about being haunted by the past, not about getting second chances. Introducing actual time travel now wouldn't feel like a payoff. It would instead feel like a completely different show painted onto the original. It would let the story dodge the consequences that make these characters courageous, and it would negate the horror of the earthquake and the rift tearing through Hawkins by turning the final season into a temporal puzzle. The story doesn't need a time loop or more added complexity. It needs the characters to confront the reality they helped create and the nightmare that invaded it. Another theory, which has been in minds for a while, tries to connect the Creels and the Wheelers into one hidden family line, usually by insisting Karen Wheeler is secretly Alice Creel living under a new identity. The core formula behind the theory never changes, and things always have flaws. They take a lingering camera shot, point to a poster in the background, sprinkle in a loaded glance which lasted only a moment, and declare it must be intentional foreshadowing. These arguments always underestimate how thoroughly the show mapped out Henry's childhood, his murders, and what happened afterward. The Creel tragedy wasn't a breadcrumb trail leading to a decades-long identity switch. It was a story about hidden evil within a single family and the dangerous worldview that grew there. The Wheelers, meanwhile, represent small-town ignorance, social pressure, and fake normalcy. Similar themes aren't secret family ties. They're just thematic parallels, and that's exactly why this theory will never come true. Hopper theories spin off in their own bizarre direction. Some claim he's secretly Eleven's biological father, and the show has been saving that reveal for the finale. Others go weirder, suggesting Hopper has dormant psychic powers, or that he's a soldier altered by exposure to the Gate who's now developing abilities. None of this aligns with what the series actually values. Eleven already chose Hopper as her father, and that's only meaningful because it's not literally true. The entire point was never about genetics. It was about building family through trust after a childhood of manipulation and abuse. Making their bond a blood relation would cheapen the most impactful adoptive relationship in the show, and possibly on current television as a whole. And when it comes to secret abilities, Hopper's whole arc centers on determination, loss, and pure stubbornness, the indomitable human spirit pushing him to face the supernatural despite being a normal guy. Giving him 11th hour superpowers would completely miss what his character represents. When the speculation runs dry on family ties, some bored fans start handing out hidden powers like it's a billionaire's dying wish. The laziest targets are the quiet characters. Ted Wheeler gets labeled a sleeper agent, a hidden genius, or a secret psychic because his blank demeanor must be hiding something. Holly Wheeler gets promoted to secret weapon because she was around when weird stuff happened with lights in the house. These aren't clues waiting to be solved, they're character types. Ted represents suburban cluelessness taken to absurd levels. Holly is a small kid who noticed what the camera wanted the audience to notice. Blowing either of them up into a major twist would be storytelling through shock value alone and zero care for the quality of story. Not everything that appears on screen means something deeper. Sometimes a background character is just that, and they need to remain that way for the special characters to actually be special in their own world. There's a version of this kind of theory that slaps a sci-fi label on Robin and makes her a time traveler sent to assist the group. It reads like it belongs in a Doctor Who episode. Robin's entire story is rooted in normal bravery, friendship, anxiety, and finding humor while facing unimaginable horror. She's not a plant from some secret organization with advanced technology. The show's rules involve psychic powers and alternate dimensions, based on mental abilities, trauma, and biological invasion. They're not designed for time cops who go around the universe helping scared kids. Inserting that into the final season wouldn't feel creative, it'd just feel wrong. Sometimes theories just attempt to redeem the villain, and do so in the craziest ways. There's a recurring hope for a redemption arc where Eleven finds the last sliver of Henry's humanity and brings him back from the edge. The show has always made room for empathy and nuance, and it's never suggested trauma is straightforward. But the series also revealed who Henry was before any laboratory got involved. It showed the Creel House murders and how he molded the Mind Flayer's shape to match his ideology. He's not a weapon who learned cruelty and now needs deprogramming. He's a true believer who discovered unlimited power and weaponized it to spread his philosophy the second he got the chance to grab that power. A redemption twist would erase the moral tones the story carefully established and do away with the deep, emotional storytelling for the sake of a cheap, happily ever after. Some predictions try cramming new origin stories into established spaces, despite the limited episode count. Brenner becomes the creator of the Upside Down, not someone who found and exploited it. Murray Bauman transforms into a secret psychic operative, not a conspiracy theorist with good instincts and a flamethrower. The Russians become the real puppet masters, not opportunists who stumbled onto a doorway someone else cracked open. These long-shot theories each treat the mythology of Stranger Things like it needs one more layer of dramatic revelation. The show already stripped it down. The mystery isn't what the Upside Down represents in some cosmic sense anymore. It's how to stop the person controlling it and what it'll cost the heroes to end this permanently. Then there are the complete do-overs. People cling so hard to the fantasy of a clean slate that they write endings where everything gets magically fixed in a montage or one movie-length episode. The dead come back to life, the town rebuilds perfectly, and the kids get one final bike ride in the sunshine. It's natural to want that comfort, especially after many beloved characters died, but it's also the one move that would ruin everything that came before. Stranger Things has always mixed childlike wonder with real costs. The series hurt us so much because it respected the deep consequences. It's not a show that builds 4 seasons of trauma only to delete it with magic. The final chapter can be hopeful, without pretending the damage never happened. The common thread across all these theories is simple. The most dramatic-sounding predictions almost always require the show to sacrifice its integrity and quality for a short-term shock. Each theory demands a new rule to emerge, a surprise family connection, a complete genre shift, or a resurrection that makes a tragic and emotional death meaningless. That's why they feel so loud. They're all climax with no structure underneath. When the story actually progresses, it'll follow the tracks it laid years ago. Will's connection will matter because it always has, not because of a sudden reveal that he's an evil mastermind. Eleven's growth will matter because every season has prepared her to handle it. The town's denial and corruption will matter because that's the reflection the series has held up since episode 1. None of that requires a secret father, a vampire return, or an "it was all a dream" style twist. There's still space for genuine surprises, though. Execution and the sheer quality of the writing from the Duffer Brothers always surprises. The show can subvert expectations without betraying itself entirely. It can reveal a hidden dimension to a familiar character, close a loop you forgot was open, and deliver on a story in a way that feels both earned and unexpected at the same time. Just like what happened with Vecna and Eleven's origins. The difference between that and the theories covered here is that the real answers will feel like they were always there. They'll lock into place with the momentum of everything that came before, not punch a hole through the ceiling to drop in some new mechanism on our heads and leave us confused. As the final season approaches, the distance between speculation and reality will start to shrink. The series has shown its deck of cards. Vecna's ideology is established. The Upside Down's relationship to Hawkins is understood. The importance of memory, friendship, chosen family, and the price of power are all crystal clear. A solid theory respects that framework instead of fights actively against it. So if a theory demands time travel, a surprise parent, a character resurrection, a game within a game reveal, or a secret mastermind hiding for dramatic effect, it belongs in the trash pile. Season 5 needs an ending that honors the rules that made the show meaningful and makes us feel rewarded for sticking with it for almost a decade now. The wildest speculation will always exist because the show sparks imagination, and that's actually a compliment to its storytelling. Fans decoded patterns in Christmas lights and tracked timeline inconsistencies with detective-level dedication. That energy is part of what makes the fandom great. The difference now is that the finish line is visible. The ending won't punish people for caring. It'll just clarify and build upon what already exists. Eddie will stay the hero who picked his moment and died for it. Will's sensitivity will be a burden that becomes a guide, not a villain backstory. Hopper and Eleven will remain where the story placed them, as family defined by choice rather than unknown blood. And the dice that launched everything will stay where they belong, on a basement table as a symbol of friendship, not proof that the world was make-believe. So these have been some of the wildest and dumbest Stranger Things Season 5 theories that are too stupid to be true. Which one do you think has the lowest IQ? Do you have one of your own that you're holding on to even though you know it's insane? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more Stranger Things content and theories, click the video on screen now.